What do steam, water, and ice have in common? They're all water. How is this possible? Well, water and other types of matter are able to change states. They can become solids, liquids, or gases. Matter is what makes up all physical substances, everything you see and lots of stuff you don't see. Matter usually changes state when you add or take away heat, which changes the temperature of the matter. Now let's explore these three basic ways that states of matter can be changed: freezing, melting, and boiling. Have you ever heard someone say they froze up? This usually means that for whatever reason, the person became scared and couldn't move. That's similar to what happens when you take heat away from liquid matter, such as water. The loose particles of matter in liquid can no longer move. This change of state is called freezing, meaning a liquid turns into a solid, like when water is frozen into ice. The everyday way to take heat away from a substance is putting it in the refrigerator or freezer. On a hot summer day, there's nothing more refreshing than a tall glass of water, liquid, with ice, solid. Both water and ice are made of the same stuff. The only difference is the way the particles inside of them move around. The particles in liquid water move around more freely than the closely packed particles in ice. However, if you set the ice in a warm place, the particles start moving around more, and the solid ice turns into liquid water. This is called melting. Since we've gotten those particles moving, we might as well turn up the heat. If you continue adding heat to liquid, the particles become even more active, causing the liquid to turn into a gas. This state change is called boiling or vaporizing. If you've ever observed a boiling pot of water or other liquid, you will probably notice steam rising above the pot. That's those wild and crazy particles in the gas state. We know that we can turn liquids into solids, solids into liquids, and liquids into gases, but there are other changing states of matter as well. For instance, gas can turn into liquid during a process called condensation. Remember that time you had a glass of ice water on a hot day? The drops of water that form on the outside of the glass are an example of condensation. They're created when the water vapor, gas, surrounding the glass turns into drops of water, liquid. Sometimes matter can even skip states. During the process of sublimation, solids turn directly into gases instead of melting into liquids first. This is what happens to dry ice. The solid ice turns directly into gas, creating that spooky fog-like cloud that rises from it. Another process, deposition, causes gas to turn directly into solid matter without becoming liquid first. A beautiful example of this is when water vapor, gas, turns directly into ice, creating those pretty little snowflakes, solids, on windows in very cold weather. Okay, let's review the things that we've learned. In short, changing states of matter involves adding or taking away heat. Adding heat to substances can cause melting, which is when a solid becomes a liquid, boiling, which is when a liquid becomes a gas, or condensation, which is when gas turns into a liquid. Taking away heat can cause freezing, which is when a liquid becomes a solid, deposition, which is when gases turn directly into solid matter without becoming liquids first, or sublimation, which is when solids turn directly into gases instead of melting into liquids first.